Semi-continuing with the conversation I had with you guys on my last vlog, I really like the idea of that Beta. I don't like the idea of its dodgy electrics, but I think it could be quite good for my stumpy requirements. And I might go for one, but because I want to get the KTM 790 Duke when it's launched, I'm not going to commit to one this season. I shall continue to see if that is a scratch that's required and maybe look into it next season. I don't want to push myself financially. I want to be able to get that 790 almost as soon as it is launched, if possible, because that would be absolutely awesome. KTM are being incredibly sketch about releasing any details about it, which I get. They've still got lots of nice bikes that they want to sell, that they don't want to discourage people from buying by being tempted away. I mean, like the 790 is not the flagship, the 1290 is, and that is a phenomenal bike by all accounts from all I've heard and watched on YouTube, etc. So I believe they're being very careful not to release any details of this 790 because it will put people off. It will put people off from buying the 1290. But I don't want a 1290. Even if the 790 wasn't happening, I'd not want a 1290. I think they're amazing bikes. They're just not for me. I don't need that many CCs. I mean, the 790 is kind of like pushing the amount of CCs that I want. All I want is something that I can have a little bit of fun on track and have as a semi-sensible option for when the weather's doing this, so I don't have to take this out in the crap. Not a lot to ask, is it? I mean, there's other bikes out there that would do the job. I mean, the Triumph 765 Street Triple is definitely on the list of bikes I'd be considering if the 790 wasn't in contention. But again, they're just going up in CCs. The small bikes are getting larger and the large bikes are getting larger. I don't quite get what's going on with the biking industry at the moment. It's very bizarre. I guess because of the new test rules in the UK anyway, where more and more people are buying the 300cc's and 400cc bikes, and their manufacturers are producing good bikes at that level that people can enjoy and not be bored on the moment they pass their test. It's bizarre, it really is. So 125s, tuned 125s are now gone. The four-stroke engines just can't do anything more than what they're doing with them unless you throw serious money at them. And who's going to do that on a bike that they're only going to keep for a year, 2 years? Why would you? It would be just a huge waste of money and a disappointment, because you might add 50% more power, but you're still nowhere near the realms of a mildly tuned two-stroke 125. Plus you've got the extra weight. Not huge amounts on 125s, but yeah, you've got the extra weight. So 125s are a dead thing. Yes, they're going to be around forever because the market is huge, but there's no incentive to produce good 125s. All they are is mutton dressed up as lamb, as far as I'm concerned, with fancy plastics and stuff to entice the teens in that general direction. But they all pretty much perform the same. Okay, some of them might have slightly nicer steering angles or what have you, but it's just dressing up a very low powered engine. Then you've got the sort of 400, 300cc class, where again there's not a huge amount you can do with these engines, although you can get power commanders for the KTM 390, and I'm sure you can for some of the other bikes. So changing filters and exhaust pipes is a thing you can do, and you can iron out the emission flat spots, so you can possibly get a bike that's a little bit less snatchy and better mannered, and maybe even get an extra horsepower just by tuning it on a dyno. There is sort of a little bit of longevity for people buying these little smaller bikes. And then you've got like the 600cc class. I mean, that used to be everything. Certainly in the UK, it was the biggest class of motorcycles out there. There was so much variety. All the main manufacturers would be producing the next greatest, latest, greatest things to tear around the countryside and the racetracks on. But it seems like that is a thing that's not happening anymore. It's like the development's gone. I know Yamaha have just brought out the new R6, but again, it's just a tarted up old R6. There is some new bits on it, I get that, but it's just a pretty version of the last one, the CVR. All that has is a paint job, doesn't it, each year? I mean, that's all they seem to be doing with it, which is really rather disappointing. Okay, they may feel that they've done all they can with the 600cc class. Is that an excuse to stop trying? Does it mean that all they can do is maybe reduce a gram of weight here, make the paint slightly thinner again? I don't know. And they're all producing mega powered 1000cc bikes, which means that everyone seems to want to get a 1000cc bike, or larger, as the 1290 may suggest. But our roads aren't getting better, you know. Our roads are getting worse. So more power makes less sense. There used to be very briefly a Husqvarna place there. I don't know if they actually sold the motorcycles or if it was just like the chainsaws. I don't know what happened to it. I guess no one bought anything from them. Having a super view on this really takes away how nice these little twisty bits are here, which is a shame for your pleasure. It's not taken away from mine though. And this bike is so relaxed with its riding position, you can just push on the bars and around you go. Bet there's not many bikes here today. Ed Case, he seems to think that if you wait long enough you'll get a big long clear gap. I don't believe him. I don't. But I've got a car behind me. Okay, let's go! Yeah, so you don't really need to put much effort into this bike to get it around the corners. I mean, it's not a sports bike, so it doesn't have quite the same performance as a GSXR, but it's alright, it's not shabby. The tyres are a major letdown, but the suspension is ace. Wet roads again, got to be careful. Like I say earlier, the tyres on this bike aren't fantasticals. They're okay. I mean, like, they're absolutely fine for doing a track day on even, but they're kind of an all-rounder jobby, with the downside being that they're not all round. they run out of edge very quickly. So leaning on dry, awesome bends on corners is a little bit harder because they run out of lean. And in the wet, they don't have as much grip as a lot of other tyres, and in the dry they don't have as much grip as a lot of other tyres. But they are okay for the class of bike. I mean, it's only got 48 horsepower out of the box, and mine with these silly exhaust pipes has probably not even got 45 horsepower. Oh, it's been lovely on hot tarmac, you know. It's a bit bumpy, but because you can take all that shit in its stride. But with unknown amounts of grit and gravel, means I don't trust it. So I ain't doing it. I guess all this shitty weather has really put the bikers off this weekend. And we also got Brands Hatch, I believe, as well. So all the racer people will be off at Brands Hatch watching motorcycles go motorcycle-y type things. People have commented in the past as to why I don't clutch and shift up on this. I do clutch and shift up on it, just not all the time. Ooh, there you go, mother. Just stop on a corner. Amazing. So that could have been quite cool. Don't know where that goes. Who cares? We're going this way. There's that bit where we can stretch our leggies. Anyway, about the clutch and changes. This bike is fine with it a lot of the time. See? All clutches, no problem at all. But then sometimes the engine just please use the clutch, PD. And I go, okay. And it's all just like a psychological feels type thing in my head. I don't know if it would have a problem on the times I don't do it. It doesn't feel right to do it at that particular time. And sometimes I'll go all the way up through the box using the clutch. And other times, just for obvious, clutch on this bike is shit. It seems like buggery when you pull away from the lights if you try and do it in an aggressive manner. Let's go! Crossroads up here, quite often you get cars poking their noses out and no overtaking as well, so yeah, don't want them coming up. Schmellies. I like this road. It's probably not a very visual one for an audience because the bumps don't really kind of show so well on GoPro footage. It's a nice little run though. Just probably shouldn't make every cut of every video I make down this neck of the woods because it just doesn't show up very well on the footage as it is in real life. Oh man, sorry bike. Oh, you poor little dirty thing. Okay, we have a fuel light now and 167 miles on the clock. So I mean, if this was a sports bike I'd be sitting there going, that's fucking amazing, that is. But it's not a sports bike, it's a motorbike with a 21 litre tank, I believe. I mean, I don't know when that fuel light came on, but I know this is a big tank, and I can't remember where it used to come on before. I was pretty sure it was around 180 miles. So fuel efficiency, if the tank has got the reserve in the same place as my last fuel pump had, which is highly unlikely, then we're about 10 miles less on efficiency or so. I mean, I don't know when that light came on. I haven't actually been watching it. So I mean, the position that the reserve tank on this at that point meant that I had a ridiculous range on reserve, and that kind of was annoying because I never ever got to find out where it was. Oh man, this is grotty. Except for my footwear and gloves. Actually, I was wearing proper waterproof gloves. I'm wearing pretty much the same stuff I wore going around Europe, although I wore my open face crash helmet for that one. And it was awesome. I got wet going through Switzerland, and then I dried out when I got to Italy. And Switzerland, it was kind of like, I stopped there for food, but they didn't have room at the hotel for me, and because it was raining, I couldn't be bothered to sort of stop and pitch a tent there and stuff, so I carried on to Italy. Really appreciate those of you that have already subscribed. Those of you new to my channel, if you've made it this far, well done. And if you could drop a little subscribe and a like and a share or a comment or all that bullshit, it'd be really appreciated. Comment, tell me what you think about the channel, think about what I'm doing. Tell me I'm an idiot if that's what makes you happy. I'll probably block your comment, but you can tell me. I've had a nice time, even though I'm cold and wet. Signing out. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, folks.
Gonna keep that bike. Rubber side down. You know, you gotta keep that bike. Rubber side down.